because we've had these experiences, and there's just things that's like, gosh, I wish I had known in my 20s the things that I know now.
They're really hitting the top of the game. The CEOs are in the succession are becoming the CEOs.
This is the adult reality of making hard choices.
And some of that is you learn by trying. Like there's just no other way to do it.
And you just keep moving. And you just keep moving. Just keep moving.
Yeah. You do your best, but once you know better, you do better.
Instead of looking at things that were worse, things that were better, it was like I was blown away at my staff. I'm like, oh, I thought they couldn't do anything without me there.
When something keeps happening over and over again, you can think it must be them, but you have to take on that it's you.
Now, when I've said that to entrepreneurial groups, they all get nervous. Oh, I could never do that. I could never do that.
Oh, this is like a whole new way of looking at this situation and a whole skill set.
And we're not in this alone.
You are definitely not alone, because you have bestseller TV to be your companion today. I'm with Will Linssen, and my fearless partner is out today. So, Will, it's just you and I here on Bestseller Live, and I'm grateful to have you, and that I consider you a friend. And when you got your new book out, I had to have you on. It's called Triple Win Leadership Coaching. And it's called The Coach's Guide to More Impact, More Coaching, and More Clients. I love it. I love the title, and I can't wait to dig into this book. Now, you've been called the number one global leadership coach, and I think that's for a reason, because your track record, I mean, you've coached over 100,000 leaders and teams, and you've got this triple win coaching framework that I want to talk about today. So welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Red, and it's great to be on our discussion today. Thank you.
Well, the last time we got to spend some time together was in beautiful Bali, and I'm glad we got to spend that time together. We got to spend time on a river doing some rafting, which was one of the more memorable parts of the week. But so, how have you been?
Very good. Thank you very much. It has been, the rafting was a wild ride, and it has been a wild ride with the whole book ever since as well.
That's right. I imagine so. Let's get into the book. What is the biggest mistake you think leadership coaches are still making, and what hasn't the industry corrected? What hasn't the industry changed, I guess?
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches, we always use the AAA model. So it's a 4A model where coaches coach for awareness, acceptance, action, and then the last is achievement, i.e. results. And most coaching actually stops after that third A, right? We coach for awareness and acceptance, and make an action plan, and then it's up to the leader, or even the coaching can continue, but it's up to the leader to implement their action plans in the organization. So we go all the way to achievement to make sure that action plan is implemented and demonstrated, and results are being recognized by the coworkers of that leader. And that's a huge difference. And it's not necessarily a mistake that coaches make, but I think coaches need to kind of take that process further, because clients, they want to invest in coaching, and investment means that there is a return on investment. And as a coach, you need to be able to demonstrate that return on investment. And that's exactly what we do.
That's a great segue into sort of the next question. I want to talk about your triple win coaching framework, because it really hinges on measurable results, right? And like, what do you say to coaches who still rely mostly on soft metrics and anecdotes?
So there are two aspects to this. So one is, as a coach, you want to rely on some of the soft metrics and anecdotes and qualitative statements of the leader, and maybe a few people around the leader. And you want to also rely on more harder metrics that are demonstrated and recognized. So I think that it's a mix of things. And the most important part is to David Meister has this great trust equation that he uses in his book, the Trusted Advisor, and so it's really the opinion of the coach that needs to get out of that equation, right? So it's low self-orientation. So in the end of the day, the decision or the conclusion whether the coaching has been successful is not decided by the leader who is being coached or by the coach who has been coaching the leader. That decision that the coaching was successful and the leader has changed is really determined by the people who are on the receiving end of leadership, and these are their team, their manager, and probably a few other coworkers.
Yeah. Well, tell me how the framework works. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so the key to success in making that happen, i.e. that framework, is start with a focused approach. So pick 2 leadership growth areas that are important to the leader and to the people around the leader, manager, team, and maybe a few other coworkers. Then from there, involve those coworkers by asking them for suggestions. So look forward to doing things better together, therefore suggestions. And then have a structured follow-up system that makes an action plan, shares the action plan, and then measures on a quarterly basis how the leader is changing, and involve the coworkers in a consistent manner in that process. And the philosophy behind this is that leadership is co-creating change with coworkers, right? That's what leaders do everywhere in the organization, whether they are designing a new product or managing safety or managing the supply chain or managing a project, whatever they do. It's all about co-creating change with coworkers. That's what leaders do. So we basically use that same philosophy in the coaching process as well.
Okay. What talk about a little bit? Is this something that coaches? I mean, I know you're doing courses and you're doing some certifications, or that's the plan. Like your work with coaches and training coaches, and I know you've done that a lot in your career, and helping other coaches get better. Is this a framework that people are going to be able to use and adapt and use in their own coaching practices? How are you taking this out to the world?
Yeah. So I've been doing this now for the last close to 30 years. And for 25 years, we have been training coaches around the world doing this.
Yeah.
We have trained and certified 4,000 of them, or actually a lot more, 1,000 in the meantime.
Well, Will will be with us in just a second. We're both across the world today. I know he's in Singapore and I'm in South Carolina on the East Coast of the United States, and so I'm sure we're having just a little bit of a technical difficulty. But I'm sure Will be back in just a second. Will, you there? Okay.
No idea what happened. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you just dropped off. Tell you what we'll do is I'll start with that question again, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah.
They can edit. They'll edit that in. So, Will, I know you've trained hundreds of thousands of coaches and leaders, and I mean, you've certified, and you've been doing this for a really long time. That's in fact, I think that's how I first got to know about you. Talk about how can coaches use this framework? Is this something that you're going to offer as a certification, a course? I mean, I know as coaches, we're always looking for a better framework, a better way to work with our clients, more tools in our tool chest, and so to speak, so that we can get better and deliver better results. Is this something that you're going to have a certification or course? How are people going to be able to utilize these tools?
Yeah. So there are a number of ways to get started. I mean, I wrote the book for coaches to create more impact, do more coaching, and get more clients. And the book actually shares a lot of how the process really works. Because when I was writing the book, I thought, yeah, this is the book I wished somebody had written for me 20 years ago to be a better coach faster. So the book is a great way to get started. We have an e-learning that's connected to the book. So once people have the book, they can sign up for the e-learning. It's all free. And then people can use the book with the e-learning to get more into that. Then they can use a lot of that coaching approach already right there and then. We have a number of online coaching tools that they can use associated with the e-learning that they can use then in their coaching, because at the end of the day, as a coach, you want to be efficient with your time to get to those results. So these coaching tools are basically the coach's assistant, right? So they help the coach save time and create more impact. Actually, the impact that the coach can reach without the tools is about 85%, and with the tools is more than 95%. So there is a huge using technology has a huge advantage. And then, of course, there is a certification, right? So it's a little bit like your car driver license, right? I always tell it. So I learned how to drive a car at the age of 16 without a driver license, because where I lived, it's okay to drive, or not okay to drive, but you can drive in the area, and there's no traffic. Yeah. So I learned how to drive cars early on. But at the end of the day, you want to have a driver license, and same as with coaches. So we have a ICF accredited program that people can sign up for, and then they get fully certified and fully accredited, and all those beautiful things that coaches also need to substantiate their credentials as they work with clients.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I want you to talk about the why do you think, when you have a 95% success rate, which is extraordinary, what does how do you achieve that? And because this is a lead into another whole area that I want to go down with you on. But why do you think it works so well?
Yeah. Actually, we started way back then by involving coworkers and asking coworkers to evaluate how the leader has been improving, right?
Right. The typical 360.
And we always,
right.
Yeah. So starting with a 360, and then do a few pulse surveys throughout the coaching engagement and see how the leader got better, right? And that worked obviously really very well. And we know that if the leader involves the coworkers very well, they get about an 80% improvement rate, because somewhere between 67 and 80%. If they start using technology to do that pulse survey and share some of the action plans, then you can up that to like 86% or somewhere around that number. And then if you use technology more diligently, then you can get up to the 95%. So one of this is involving coworkers consistently and using technology. That is one part of the success aspect. Now, another thing that happened is that we know that when you coach a leader and do this, then the leader gets better. But we also see and know that the team gets better and the results get better. And clients always asked us about this, right? Leader is getting better. I can see that. But, what about the team and what about the results? And we had a few clients where we collaborated in making cases around how results get better, revenue or engagement or whatever the case may be, whatever number they pick. And then we said, okay, well, let's also start measuring how the team gets more effective and how results improve. Let's just make it part of the pulse survey. So that's what we did quite a number of years ago. And then something extraordinary happened. The involvement of coworkers in the leadership development process not just was involvement, because now coworkers also realized, okay, my manager is being coached and becoming better as a leader in empowerment or execution or whatever the case may be. And how does it affect my team? It's like, oh yeah, my goodness, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because if my manager is getting better, but we are not getting better, that's just wrong. That's weird. That's just stupid, right? I mean, we should kind of step up ourselves too, right? Because that's what leadership and culture and everything is all about. So coworkers shifted from being involved to actually being accountable, right? And realizing, yeah, this is also about us.
Yeah.
And then that actually shifted the whole idea and the evidence around coworkers not just being involved in the leadership change, but also really impacted the team change and the result change. So we went from 67% leaders change to 80 and 86, and now we're 95%. But also the team recognizes that they have become more effective and are satisfied with their improvement at a 95% rate, and the same with results. So it's like a triple win and 3 times 95%. And it's all about everybody realizing this is about us, which goes back to leadership is co-creating change together.
Yeah, that's incredible. So I want to switch gears a little bit, because this model, when you're getting that kind of ROI, I know one of the things that a lot of coaches struggle with, and I did early on in my coaching business, was, and I know right now it's tougher, right? When the economy changes and things, or even the perception that the economy is changing, coaching is harder to sell. What advice do you have for coaches in today's market that are trying to sell their methodology, and they're trying to sell their coaching? This seems like a really good tool to be able to sort of show the ROI, right, and show the value in, because I think it's hard without something like this to do that sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you need to provide evidence, right? Now, the question you're just fielding, actually, we have a whole separate part of our certification process which dives exactly into that. What type of clients, and what clients should you look at? But an important part of that is connecting company metrics to leadership behavior, right? And I always tell clients, what is the number you're trying to move? It's either a number on the P&L, profit and loss statement, or maybe sales or profit, or it's a number on the balance sheet, like cash deployed, right, or cash generation,
right.
Or it's a number somewhere else. Maybe it's market share, right? Maybe it's people engagement, right? Maybe it's retention. So what is the number you're trying to shift? So it's a number on a financial statement, or a number on your engagement survey or employee satisfaction survey, or a number in your budget or strategy plan. So pick a number, right? And then from there, let's discuss what competencies and behaviors that needs to be kind of changed, addressed, and adapted by the leader and the people around the leader in order to drive the needle on that number. And yeah, one simple example, I worked with a very large consumer goods company, and one of the things that they wanted to shift is revenue, very straightforward. And in the assessment and the discussion, it came down to better collaboration across functions. So the whole executive team, which are all heads of functions, we worked for a year coaching everybody in the executive team to improve collaboration across functions, and everybody also had their own leadership growth areas. And we measured every month how the numbers shifted, and we measured every quarter how the individual leaders were shifting in their leadership skills and behaviors based on coworker perception. And that turned everybody around.
Yeah.
And that's a great case, right? I mean, we have clients who have a minimum of 1,000x investment on their coaching results, right? So if you invest 100,000 or a couple of $100,000 in coaching, that's like 1,000x. So it easily becomes very attractive, big numbers for clients to work on. And now the investment is clear, right? Now it's not a cost, it's an investment. If I do this, that number shifts. and here is the evidence. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. But with all the tools, I mean, AI is making massive leaps every day. With all these digital tools sort of entering this coaching space,
Yeah.
how do you see the triple win model evolving in the next few years, and what and I mean, how is it going to help coaches stay relevant?
Yeah. So I think it's very, very simple, and this is not something new that we have been thinking about. So I was actually involved in e-commerce and e-learning in the early 2000s already, and I think the story is very simple. In the early 2000s, when the internet really became a big thing, right? Then before that, the guru for the leader was the coach. The guru kind of knows things. Yeah.
Right.
Then when Google came around, then Google became the guru because the Google knew a lot more than the coach. Yeah. And that role, it has now to be taken over by AI, right? So AI is the guru for the leader and the coach. So the role of the coach is not being the guru. That role has already been expired a long time ago. And for leaders, most leaders are also smart enough, right? So most leaders don't have a knowledge deficiency. They know what's the right thing to do. Their challenge is how to do that, to convert that knowledge into doing that. So show how in their organization, within their crazy environment, right? With their particular people in their business, with their manager and themselves and their private life and all these beautiful things. So it's really converting know-how into show-how in my crazy environment. And that is the added value for the coach. That's where the coach can really help. And that's where AI, for quite a little while, will not really be able to intervene because AI does not have enough data of how the crazy environment of the leader is working to assist in that process. Now, AI is still super relevant, obviously, right? And we should use AI in our coaching. So in our process, we have coworkers who provide input to the leader on how to get better, and AI could be another input provider, right? If I'm working on better collaboration across functions, I have 25 coworkers, so I get 25 or 50 different suggestions, and then I can ask AI to give me some more suggestions if I really need those, and I can ask AI to, based on these suggestions, what would be a great action plan. So I think it helps to digest data and to maybe get better ideas, but that's where it stops at this point in time for AI.
Yeah, no, that's I'm always curious about other coaches' sort of perspectives on where this is going, and I mean it's enhancing our speed at analyzing data. It's helping, but I think we still have to think about it as a tool and not a replacement for any of what we do. I mean, I think that's really important. Will, this has been fascinating. I'm so happy that the book is out into the world, and I know it's a big moment, and it's a labor of love to get these things to market. I can't wait to pick your brain in a few months when we're starting to really lean into the heavy marketing side of it, and but that's coming up pretty soon because we come out in September, into September. So, but I appreciate your time today. Where can people find the book? And I do want to let everybody know that Will's offered to give 2 copies away to the audience, and so thank you so much for that. We're gonna put that out on social media and with links to the book, and let people write in and let us know what they think and why they want the book, and we'll get all that to you. But thank you so much for being willing to do a giveaway. But for those who can't wait and who want to improve their coaching right now and don't want to take a chance that they're going to miss out on the book giveaway, where can people find and buy the book?
Yeah, so the book is for sale everywhere where books are sold. I think Amazon is a most popular one and an easy one, and people can buy it in a print copy, paperback, and hard copy format, but also, of course, in Kindle. So, and I think that another important aspect for people who are interested in using the book is also the e-learning that's connected to the book. So in the book, you'll find on in every chapter a way to sign up for the e-learning, which is also for free and which is super important to kind of take it to the next level. So the e-learning provides a lot of resources that people can download as coaching tools as well.
Well, my editor is going to kill me, but I just wrote that down because I think that's a great call to action at the end of every chapter. I was like, oh no, I missed that. That's a great tool. That's what I was writing down just now. So you're giving me inspiration as we speak. I'd love to have you back. I'd love to do we were talking before we came on. I'd love to have you back, and I know Cynthia would too, and maybe do a roundtable with other authors and bat around some of these new ideas of ways that help each other. I think that'd be a really useful thing. We have a lot of authors that listen to the show and who are, just like us, trying to enhance our sales and get our work out into the world, and sharing ideas and collaborating to help each other. I think is really something that we should be working on. Look, guys, it's Triple Win Leadership Coaching, the coach's guide to more impact, more coaching, and more clients. Will Linssen, thank you for being on the show. I look forward to seeing you somewhere around the world this year. I know our paths will cross, maybe in Orlando and at the end of the year at our event. And by the way, Will is a global guru. He and I are in the Global Gurus group together, so we're colleagues in a way. Will, it's been great to see you.
Thank you very much for having me, Red, today. Thank you.
All right.